We discussed in the former video about being mind and not the brain. The reason for this is because, as I mentioned, when the body dies, the brain returns to dust, but the mind remains, because the mind is spirit, but it is not eternal. Remember that. That's where we sometimes make our mistakes. People want to become immortal. And to become immortal is actually to keep the mind conscious forever, for all eternity. The reason for this is because the people love the physical creation. But it's even worse than that. People love the senses. They love the lust and the greed and the anger and the love of the physical creation, which is your enemy. That is the enemy of your soul. So we have three. We have the brain, we have the mind, and we have the soul. Soul is self. Soul is who you really are. The soul is as a separated drop of an ocean of light. And that is your creator. Your creator isn't a human being sitting somewhere in space. Your creator is everything you see. Everything that exists is created within the creator. Not a creator sitting on a chair writing your name in a black book. That doesn't exist. I want you to realize, first of all, that I don't teach religion. This is a science of souls. This is the science of freeing the soul from the mind and your physical creation. All religions actually teach us exactly the same thing, of how to free the soul from the mind. The brain is controlled by the mind, but that doesn't mean the brain can't control the mind as well. When we are inside the body and we drink, say, alcohol or drugs, it numbs the mind and it puts the mind into different ways of thought. It draws it down, as we say, into the astral, into the darkness, and it creates it into an animal way of thinking. And that's what the human body is. The human body and brain is animal, the same as any other animal on the planet. We are controlled by greed and lust and anger and survival. The human is merely the most advanced animal on this planet. And that is why we have the ability to actually withdraw the mind inward and to become one with the Creator. For as long as we are not enlightened, we remain animal and we will be controlled by the lower mind. So we have to understand that we have brain in a level where it is conscious and controllable when you are advanced to a certain level. But you can also draw the mind down by using habit-forming drugs or alcohol or whatever the case may be. So you've got different levels of brain and you have different levels of mind. So first of all, you have to get your brain into a sober state where it is able for the mind to control the brain. And once the brain remains in a sober state, then the mind, which is semi-eternal, can take over. And once the mind takes over, then you can go into higher levels of consciousness. And that is numbing the brain. Because now, when you become God conscious or enlightened, the mind is drawn inwards. And it's not drawn inwards somewhere. We separate ourselves from the physical world. We become connected and conscious of self, of the soul. And once we become connected to self, once we become connected and enlightened, that is the only time that we realize we have to ascend in God consciousness, in enlightenment. We must become soul. So before you become enlightened, your mind is the enemy of your soul, because the mind imprisons the soul. But as soon as you become enlightened and you realize your purpose, your human purpose, why you were born into this physical body, that is the time that you are ready to ascend in spirit consciousness and God consciousness. So when you are ready to ascend, you will move higher than the thought of the brain and the mind that is attached to the physical body. You have to remember one thing. You can't fight your mind. You can't say, no, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop doing this. I don't want to do this anymore. Because those thoughts you have, when you fight with your thoughts, you actually strengthen those thoughts. Because when you train a muscle, that muscle grows. And it's the same with thought. When you grow that thought, when you fight with that thought, it actually magnifies that thought. And it will beat you. You can't fight yourself. It's like getting into a boxing ring and fighting yourself. You can't do that. You have to become spiritually conscious and ascend above mind. And that is where it begins. So we will continue from here. How do we ascend above, inward and upward? And from there, we will see what soul is, what mind is, what brain is. And this is very important to understand. If you don't understand that, you will continuously think of a physical God sitting somewhere in space, or a physical Jesus that walked the planet, or a physical whatever religion you are. You will remain physical, and you will want to be blessed with physical and material matter, which is everything that puts you into hell. Because when you lose it, you want to commit suicide, and when you lose the loved ones, you want to commit suicide, and you can't live anymore, and it becomes unbearable, this life. That's why you have to ascend above mind. You have to ascend above the human consciousness, the brain consciousness, and the mind consciousness, for you to become who you really are. So we will continue with these videos. Thank you for watching, and God bless all of you.